Maul man pull down him hood. Red face in the light. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi tonight. Double blade ignite, bumbo clat, what a scene. Obi Dub and Qui Ganja step fresh and clean. Bumbo clat, Maul man swinging blade so red. Qui Ganja, Obi Dub dodging close to dread. Sparks start to fly, them move so quick. Jedi and sit in a bumbo clat trick. Maul man spin kick, Qui Ganja send him back. Obi Dub flip black counter attack. Laser doors close trap, Obi Dub in place. Qui Ganja and Maul man now face to face. Bumbo clat, Maul man swinging blade so red. Qui Ganja, Obi Dub dodging close to dread. Sparks start to fly, them move so quick. Jedi and sit in a bumbo clat trick. Doors open wide, Qui Ganja rush in. Maul man jab him saber, Qui Ganja can win. Obi Dub ball no, and jump in the fray. Maul man grin, wicked try mash him away. Bumbo clat, Maul man swinging blade so red. Qui Ganja, Obi Dub dodging close to dread. Sparks start to fly, they move so quick. Jedi and sit in a bumbo clat trick. Obi Dub flip grab saber, move irie and fast. Maul man taunt, you have anger but you not lost. Obi Dub slice, Maul man split in two. Jedi reggae champion, bumbo clat it's true. Obi Dub stand tall, Maul man drop down. Qui Ganja gone but Obi Dub wear the crown. Uta Pow or Naboo, Jedi run the show. Reggae and the force always make it flow.
Good time zone, sweet world. It is Friday, August 22, 2025. Hello. Welcome to your video game news briefing. That's what I'm calling this now. We're going to go over the news for the week. Things that popped up anyway. Things that caught my attention. And we'll kind of take a run through. Lots of articles, though. Lots of stuff happened this week. This week it was Gamescom, of course, and so there were a lot of announcements and a lot of things that people were all excited about, but a lot of other activity moving on, it seems. So that's fun. Yeah, I mean, you know, other than that, not much else going on. Feeling better, way better. Been a little bit more active, lost some weight over the last couple of weeks. So that's good. Have some goals for more and have plans to do that. So that has been fantastic. Also got a copy of Ask Iwata is a book that recently came out. This is so I gotta open this up to remember correctly. But this is basically published by Hobonichi, which is an organization, a publication type of company that had published various kinds of, you know, pieces on Satoru Iwata-san, you know, over his time. His career, his life, and you know, they had worked together at various points in his career and became friends, it seems. And so there are all kinds of, you know, insights that were written and largely on this website that they have. And, you know, those posts get archived and they move down. And, you know, who knows if they're even available anymore. And if they are, it'd be very hard to find. So what they've done is they've kind of, you know, got permission from the family and all, and pulled all those stories together into a book that contains kind of a narrative as well, you know, which basically just organized different insights from Iwata. So it'll go from, you know, his high school years and his college years and all this kind of stuff to, you know, his leadership style, characteristics, as an individual, his characteristics, his beliefs on well, what he believes in, the games that he strived to make, and kind of how he's remembered. So with Shigeru Miyamoto-san also weighing in. I've only gotten through, I think, part 1, maybe the first chapter, which was largely like kind of his origin story, if you will. But that has been fantastic. It's about 21 pages in. So definitely look forward to reading more of this. It's I think I got it for about $24 Canadian, which is, you know, good. I think it was on sale too. I think the regular price might be something like $30. Cool book, nice small book too. So it's not too crazy, nothing too crazy. Looking forward to continuing to read through that. The quote on the back of the book is, "On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer." So hopeful that there will be more to gain from there. Yeah. Okay. Why don't we just get straight into the news? Because as I say, there's a lot of stuff to go into. So I can go here. And first up, so this is GameIndustry.biz. At Gamescom, it felt like the industry now has a plan: make games quicker, and at least part of that plan involves AI. And so, by Lewis Packwood. So between appointments with CEOs and developers, there's one sentiment that had remained consistent among almost everyone, and that is we need to make games quicker. The biggest expense when making game is salaries, and so shorter development times will, of course, mean lower costs in theory. That means not betting the farm on every single release. Yeah, that's, I mean, you should do that anyway, but okay. Yeah. Sure. And so the thought that if you spent 2 years making something and it fails, that's better than having spent 5 to 6 or 7 years and then having it fail. But if yeah, sure. I mean, the problem becomes that when you have something that's 5, 6, 7 years, that, you know, this might have been something that should have been canceled or shelved a while ago is the first thought that comes to mind. Instead of overcommitting. But how do you make games more quickly? One option: to make games look worse. Which, I mean, you know, graphic fidelity isn't everything, I suppose. Depends on what your scope is. I used to be all up into graphic fidelity, but it's less important to me these days, as I prioritize more shorter experiences. And, you know, it seems like in the high fidelity world, you don't get those. You more get in the high graphic fidelity world, or other fidelity worlds. You seem to get more things that are kind of like time traps, or, you know, man, they are like up there to grab your attention and they want you to stay there. Those kind of treadmills, which feels terrible. Respect my time. Damn it. No, they will not respect my time, these games. Okay. And so there's little appetite for the strategy, which is to sacrifice graphic fidelity. It's an unwillingness to fly in the face of conventional wisdom. Perhaps it's an unwillingness to fly in the face of conventional wisdom, where frame rates are often fetished. Perhaps it's more a simple pride in the craft. And there's a distinction between frame rates and graphic fidelity. Those are two separate things. And I prioritize frame rates. I must have high frame rates. Not only that, I must have like consistent frame rates. If we have like flicker, stutter, and judder, I'm out. I can't handle it. Like it just ruins the experience for me. My order is approximately 1 hour away. I have an order arriving, so I'll be interrupted here at some point, but that's okay. AI is the games industry's dirty little open secret. So the alternative is being pitched as one option is to use AI to speed up the development process. And it's an option that more and more studios are taking up. AI is the games industry dirty open secret. The majority of people I spoke to said they were using AI in some form or the other. And okay, well, let's get to the end here. So they're not using it for finished assets, as you get that shameful little AI content label. But many were using it at some point, of course. Generating snippets of code makes sense. Generate a fair few people. So I don't know how to quantify that, but a fair few people were using AI to generate concept art early in the process. They were adamant that it should be a helper rather than a replacement for human skills. Okay. Oh, that's terrible. That is a terrible color for that. I have a highlighter here. It's a browser extension. None of these colors are good on dark. There we go. That's better. Others were coy. Going rigid when the dreaded word came up. They have reason to be afraid. Right. So there was this whole thing. I didn't talk about it, but I had certainly heard about this in podcasts and all. Is the alters had some sort of outrage when they had AI generated text being found there, which was supposed to be cleaned up afterwards. I think it was like a placeholder, but it just got missed, and so there was like a little bit outrage. Yeah. So people on the development side and you know, I would imagine also on the publishing side is going to be a huge place where these things are being used, are living in fear, and so now questions are being posed. Should AI generated art be off limits in finished games, or is it fine as long as the data set is trained on assets wholly owned by the studio? The kinds of questions that still need to be discussed. So okay. So here's the thing. I don't even think you should. I don't know that you should draw the line on data set being trained on assets wholly owned by the studio. I don't even know if it's probably the safest thing to do. It's probably the best way to do it anyway, to not be worried about any kind of legal issue, or primarily I think it would be more motivated by a morality kind of issue and customer backlash type of relationship management issue. Should AI generator art be off limits in finished games? That's a harder bridge to cross, I guess. I don't know. But I think the way that this goes is like the tools that are being used to generate the art, and the tools that are being used to make the games, the tools that are being used to manage customer relations, to do your marketing briefs, to do your forecasting, all this kind of stuff should have some sort of AI stuff integrated into them. If it works. And then, that becomes really helpful as a tool to do the work. And so this is not a surprise at all that it's widespread in the use of industry, because the thing is that in all knowledge economy sectors, this technology, I would imagine, is being widely used. I know for sure in certain sectors, definitely. Never mind sector, in Microsoft it's being used, but outside of that, governments are absolutely using it. Go see the UK. UK has a whole bunch of pages on it, right? So does Canada, for that matter, and I'm sure so does America. Like the public sector is going to be a huge customer for this. I am sure of that. or they will simply develop their own sort of tools in this kind of thing, of this nature, and then they will pay a licensing fee or some sort of fees to some hosting stuff that might be from external parties. That might be how it works. Or maybe they just bring all this stuff on side and refuse to outsource. Hey, no worries, Azure. Hey, nice to see you. No worries. CC are available as well. No worries. I think CCs are available. Gosh, I haven't checked. I haven't looked at that. Not that it's going to work, but anyway, that's okay. So sure, what's needed is an open discussion of how AI should be best used. I'm not sure who the open discussion needs to be with, but your public sectors, if they're doing their job anyway, and anyway, whatever, I'm not going to weigh in too much on that, but they will have guidelines and sort of, ethical frameworks, let's say, around how these technologies can and should be used. And then you would want all of these companies to ascribe to those and to really sign up to those, like actually be a signee to XYZ standard, and get certified in that or something like that, right? That's probably what you'd want to happen. And then you would have at least formally some sort of commitment to using this in a responsible way. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I think, no, it's not going away anytime soon, and I think it's high time that we kind of, anytime some new tool comes out, there is always like a big kind of resistance to it. I think, especially when you have like kind of radically new kind of things. Imagine when computers first came out. I mean, I hear stories about the workplace that I'm in. I've heard stories about this kind of stuff. There were all kinds of people. There were people that adapted. There were other people who like refused to do anything. They were having nothing to do with computers. And 20 years on from that, they were significantly impacted from not having taken computers up. They were still around, but boy, they were up to no good. They didn't mean to be, but they were. So, yeah. So hey, natural to have your doubts, of course, because there's no guarantee that wherever these technologies are being implemented, that those organizations have the moral and ethical wherewithal to hold themselves to a high standard in terms of whatever acceptable use should look like. And again, there are public frameworks that kind of give some idea as to how that framework actually should be made and what that involves. The frameworks exist. They're there. But hey, everyone's agreed on a plan. So this thing, it seems to focus more on the technology rather than the need for shorter development cycles. I think Nintendo has talked about that a little bit. The thing about development cycles is the longer that you are in development, the bigger chance there is that the thing that you picked up on 7 years ago, that trend, that potential gap, that thing you were targeting, well, that was 7 years ago. And now people might have moved on. Or, there might have been all kinds of changes during that time to where the thing that you have been making now maybe it doesn't have that same audience. Maybe like it just doesn't fit wherever the culture is at this point. all kinds of, I guess, different reasons for it, but that's kind of the risk. And so that's why they would want to move to shorter development cycles to ensure that, hey, look, we have our eyes on this target that's 2 years out, and we're going to make sure that we deliver in 2 years. It's also a reason why any sort of financial forecasting that is done, your 1 to 2 to 3 years are the most reliable of that forecast. 5 years is a questionable thing to say. Like, any number of things could happen that could screw up that 5-year forecast. And then if you go into 10 and 20, like you're really working with kind of with forecasts or data that is really questionable and has to be underpinned by some strong assumptions. And if you're giving advice on that, then you should definitely highlight what those assumptions are and let people know that, hey, this after this certain point, this might not be so reliable, and this is because of this, and therefore it could be lower or it could be higher. So that's that one. That's GameIndustry.biz. Jeez. Let's see. Another article. Keep it here. This is with the waves of layoffs, the way that people are overworked. Everyone agrees that there is a systemic problem. Spring McFarlane Jones. Oh, I see. Anyway. Spring McFarlane Jones and John Paul Donnelly from the IWGB Game Workers Union make the case for why the UK games industry should be unionizing. So this is a topic. This is by Alex Forbes Calvin, a contributor. It's a topic that I feel like I've looked at before at several points. And I think, right off the top, yes. Oh, no! Oh, hey, Paunoya, thank you for the community gift sub. Oh! It's too loud. It's always too loud. I did the thing. I did the... And it was 69. Good lord. I gotta play Street Fighter. Gosh. Alright. And so unionization is kind of a it's a weird one, because you think like, yeah, sure, it should happen, but also then you get into union busting territory. Then when layoffs come, sometimes people go after those unionized employees. Not all of your employees are going to be unionized, and I think we saw that with ZeniMax. But anyway, let's see here. So a massive again, they start out with a sentence: there has been a massive rise in unionization within the video games industry. Please, after that first sentence, your second sentence should have like a number or like a supporting stat, supporting something. That's just a claim. I have no idea how to quantify that, so I would have to go and see like, oh, okay, well, how many organizations and blah blah blah. Anyway, apparently there is a massive rise in unionization. There are video game unions around the world. Right? So at Raven Software, ZeniMax, and Blizzard. And then Ubisoft Halifax in Canada voted to unionize. Oh, shoot. I didn't know that. Interesting. Oh, they're filing with CWA Canada. Oh. Yeah. So it's to protect against instability. Oh, interesting. Which is great. I mean, it's fantastic. There are no unions, no unionized workforces in UK games industry. Though there is a better kind of government support in the UK, I feel. So maybe that balances out. But yeah, anyway, I won't push that angle too far. Let's see here. So this has been okay. So about 6 or 7 years ago was when we started to see a lot of conversations about the reality of crunch. So crunch meaning when they basically work overtime, I guess. Yeah. And so this is about breaking down those isolated groups of pockets of employees and kind of bringing them together under one hood. Ask anyone in the industry, they will agree that the industry as it's structured at the moment is not sustainable with the waves of layoffs and the way people are overworked. Everyone agrees that there is a systemic problem and nobody seems to have a solution. I think everyone agrees that it seems like a lot of wealth is moving up towards the executives and shareholders. Even people who aren't very sympathetic to the idea of unionizing probably agree with that point initially. Case for unionization is that if we want to change, we have to change it ourselves. We have to force the executives' hands to provide fair treatment and give workers a say in how the companies that we work for are run and the games that we make are made. Realistically, for the workers to have leverage in that discussion, we have to come together and engage in collective action. History has shown that the best way to do that is through unionization. Totally agree. I agree with everything here. And I think we've kind of spoken to that in the past. Of course, there are risks, but good on them for taking them. I think, also, so you'll start paying dues and you'll want to make sure that your union is capable of negotiating well with the employer. That becomes very important so that you don't negotiate yourself into bad deals that you have to hold for X amount of time. But absolutely, what is one thing that you should negotiate for if you are concerned about executive compensation growing is equity-based compensation at your companies, significant equity-based compensation, so that employees can benefit much more than they would ever be able to with simply just wages. Of course, you also negotiate for higher wages and wages that, your first goal is to make sure that it keeps in line with inflation. Then your next goal is to, let's go over inflation by, I don't know, XYZ%, but as long as it's higher. But as for why it is held up, individualism is being pitched here as a reason. Okay. I guess I can understand that. Somebody, difficult to convince somebody to join a collective when they're convinced that their own big break is around the corner. Yeah. It's kind of silly thinking though, isn't it? I mean, the trade-off of union dues is not that significant though, to be so concerned about your individual. It's like your big break is, I'll be a big executive. I don't want to pay. I don't want to negotiate with union. It's like the employer and the union can have a great relationship. It just kind of sits as this check on the employer that doesn't let them do whatever they want to. Like labor is the most flexible input, and so when the owners of capital need to change things around, they will modify the labor input. That's I don't know. I'm just pulling from economics. I just see K and L. Capital and labor, right? And so if you have some sort of union that's sitting on there, then it puts a bit of stickiness on what can be done with labor, and that can be a constraint. But one way that it's not a constraint is if then management is able to work along with the union and negotiate and discuss and all this kind of stuff, right? You just have to be open to it, and you have to be a good negotiator. And a lot of people just, don't want to deal with all of that. They just want to, I want to do what I want to do. And I'm going to, anyway, status quo, situation severe. But okay. All right. And yes, there's anti-union sentiment for sure. Right. You will quite often run into it. As soon as you think about unions, you've been kind of conditioned to think negatively about unions. So yeah. And I always come back to, you know, plotting wage growth against S&P 500 growth, and the answer is clear. So, all right, that's that one. That's fantastic. Congratulations to Ubisoft Halifax and, you know, the IWGB Game Workers Union. Or congratulations, I don't know. Anyway, good on you. Okay, moving on. Have you heard about this Hollow Knight Silksong game? A game, I won't play Silksong. I hadn't seen a release date for any of this stuff, but VGC is saying as of, I guess yesterday. Today's the 22nd. What did I say the date is today? I don't even have a calendar on my computer anymore. So, yeah, it was yesterday, 22nd. So 2 weeks, September 4th, eh? And so this is, of course, one of the games that is bringing up this whole discussion around development timelines, long development timelines, and whatever. Because this was announced in 2019. Hollow Knight number 1 came out in 2017. And finally, will be out on September 4th. So this is great. You know, it'll be great for everybody who has been waiting for this game to finally be able to play it. And we can all, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm just not a huge fan of I've never been into Metroid games at all because of I just do not like I don't like the Metroid specifically. I just don't like the aesthetics of it. It doesn't jive with me. I've never been into that kind of alien stuff, although I don't know, somehow I am into StarCraft. I don't know, maybe because StarCraft's more a little bit of like a American punk kind of rock feel, I guess. I don't know, that's probably not accurate, but you know, there's a specific feel to, you know, original StarCraft and the Blizzard of that time that I totally, you know, we're talking, you know, of course a different game genre, but I'm talking about the thematic style, that vibes. And anyway, I don't know, I just don't get the same thing for Metroid. Metroid just feels creepy, and there's a lot of gross kind of tension, and you know, it's done very well, and it's very intentional about what it's doing there, but it just makes me feel kind of icky to the point where I just don't want to play it. But yeah, and you know, anyway, difficult games for the sake of being difficult. I don't know. Who knows? Not for now. This is another thing here. Yoshi P is the producer. Yoshi P of Final Fantasy 14 has said he hopes for good news over Nintendo ports. So they've said that they have had positive discussions over Nintendo Switch 2 Final Fantasy 14 port, which would be amazing. This would be great. This would be fantastic. I would totally play Final Fantasy 14 on that device. Absolutely. Not much else here outside of it's just being discussed, eh? It will allow for more casual play away from the television or PC, introduce younger players to the game, which, by the way, you know, a game that works fantastic on controllers. At one point, I think, you know, a long time ago, when I was playing in this game and playing a Ninja, I remember doing that with the controller exclusively. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be really cool for that too. I think that console does have triggers, right? Yeah, it does. That would probably work. And make it work somehow. Without, oh man. Please do this. I will pay. I will give you my money if you do this. Moving on. So this is a big one. This is from Bloomberg, from Schry Guy, Jason Schreier. Why Silksong took 7 years to make. And in production for so long that it's become an internet meme. So why? Often mismanagement, although unsubstantiated. So, hey. Oh, this is a January newsletter that he's referring back to. Okay. Speaking from a video call in their office in Adelaide, Australia. Co-founders Ari Gibson and William Pellin said that making Silksong has been nothing but a joyful process. We've been having fun. The whole thing is just a vehicle for our creativity anyway. It's nice to make fun things. Not development challenges or organizations. They just needed the years to ensure that Silksong was exactly the game they wanted to make. It was never stuck. It was always progressing. It's just the case that we're a small team and games take a lot of time. They wanted to do an expansion pack, but they said that it had grown too big. It had grown too big as of February 2019, and so that just became the next full-fledged sequel, which 2025. So, right, they just kept on wanting to go bigger, is basically what this is. So they keep saying their development method is enjoyable, but I don't know what exactly about it is. Well, the general process seems to be starting off by designing the core gameplay for the protagonist, for the character, and then implementing and testing out new ideas. Says Gibson, we're very fortunate that we have a development method that is so enjoyable. We're not exactly sure how we stumbled into that. Everything comes together quickly. You can see results fast. Ideas turn into something that exists in the game almost immediately before your eyes, and that's very satisfying. That allows you to go off on those tangents and meet weird characters because someone's offhandedly mentioned a weird character as an idea, and the other person laughed, and that's enough. I love that. I think I remember hearing an interview about Godot, this open source game engine, and the interviewee who was talking about this was talking about in Godot reaching a point where they could just hit a button to execute whatever next line of thing that they were doing, and have that immediately be testable in the game environment that they were developing. And so the speed of being able to pull up the next iteration of the game really makes a difference, because then you're just able to iterate so fast without any kind of dead time. Those little pieces of time really add up, and also like lets you more comfortably get into that, because otherwise you would just be saying like, I don't want to wait for this thing to load for so long. I'm just gonna see if I can build out like a good a good chunk of this and then test it and see how it went, and let that be part of the loop. So that's kind of interesting there. Also, there's a bunch of other stuff around Godot, which is kind of interesting, like this idea that you can kind of airdrop patches to your game if you use Godot in a way that would kind of get around some of the Nintendo Switch approval stuff. But that's another kind of story. If you want to hear more about that, go check out The Game Business. Okay. Right. And of course, the downside to just doing whatever they wanted to do, it seems this methodology is doing whatever they wanted to do. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Yeah, unfortunately, not everyone's going to be able to ascribe to this and have it work. Obviously, they're very much living off of the vibes from their first success. Hey, Tom, it's good to see you. And so, yeah, anyway, good for them. That's fun. You know, as it should be too, I guess. As much as as much as possible anyway. Okay. I think that's the most out of we'll get here. I mean, they go on in detail. Yeah, they don't want to mess with the formula and then find out it's not fun. And they've really used the time to go for a level of polish. So that's good. All right. They're happy about they've also received a ton of support from the original game over a longer period of time, which has been kind of buffeting them as well. Okay, no, that's great. Good for them. We'll see how that does when it comes out, September 4th, apparently. Okay. Oh, that. There's also. So I heard about this on a podcast about Bioshock. So Take-Two has gutted Bioshock Studio after a decade of development. This is... Oh, come on, man. This is Bloomberg and you're not going to give me a ticker? Is it just because I'm zoomed in? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, no. They're doing all right. Because I'm zoomed in. Take-Two, of which I am a shareholder. Not too bad. What is this? Oh, this. Oh man. Oh yeah, this is daily. Okay. Let's look at 6 months. Let's look at 1 year. Okay. Cool. In a pretty good place, are they? And they will be in an even better place come next year for sure. I would say that they are a buy now, for sure. I invest in Take-Two. But they have laid off about a third of the staff at speaking of AI, takeaways by Bloomberg AI. Take-Two Interactive Software Inc. laid off about a third of the staff at Cloud Chamber, the studio behind the next Bioshock game, according to people familiar with the move. The game will also be delayed from a previously planned release in late 2026 or early 2027, said the people, as the studio reworks certain aspects that are core to a Bioshock game. 2K president David Ismailer said in an email to staff that the decision to reduce the size of the development team is to focus on reworking the game and give it more time in development. From what I remember from podcasts that I listened to on this was something about... No, it was speculation, wasn't it? There was some speculation around, is it just the story? Is it because it failed? I remember that it had failed the publisher review and that the publisher wasn't happy about the quality of the thing. Somebody was going on about the story might be too woke and that executives were afraid of it. But that's just unsubstantiated hearsay as far as I can tell, as far as I know anyway. But let's see. So they cut more than 80 jobs. It'll be delayed from a previously planned release from late 2026 or 2027. So this is 2K Games that is making the cuts. We are reworking certain aspects that are core. They brought in, who did they bring in? Oh my God, I can't remember his name for the life of me. Go look it up. Oh yeah, the ex-Diablo boss Rod Ferguson, who had also worked on Bioshock and helped save Bioshock Infinite. That's right. So he's been brought back to help kind of steer this ship. So again, anyway, we've talked a little bit about Bioshock before, so I won't go too much into detail here. But yes, it is a huge risk at this point because now you're so long in that you kind of have to pivot. Which, you know what, is, I would say, you either cancel or you kind of restart the clock and say and really commit to a shift in design thinking. Otherwise, you have to move on. You know. Because a flop can be so risky for more, like of course, like people are going to be upset, but dude, if a thing that goes out with such a huge brand and it kind of slumps out without the polish and the design that needs to be there for it, that can have such a huge reputational damage to Take-Two and 2K, and that would affect all kinds of other things that they would ever want to do in the future, where you just it just is not tolerable. So we'll see, and who knows? I mean, the as far as why it's coming like this, we may never know. But they talk about technical issues and lack of clear vision for the final product. Right now we have a good game, but we are committed to delivering a great one. And stun workers said in conversations with Bloomberg that they feel like they are getting the blame for poor decisions that were made above their heads. So this is the thing. Ferguson has a reputation in the industry as a closer, someone who comes into struggling projects and helps them get out the door. And so now he's in here. That sucks that we, are not able to get a little bit more in terms of the specifics of the stuff, but unfortunate that Shy Guy's interviews did not reveal more that he would be able to publish. Shame, just a shame. I would be very skeptical of any kind of line that says that it was the employees were at fault for making something that's technical issues are going to be, at some point you're going to lay the blame for that with your staff and with your middle management for sure. But there's also going to be a portion of that. If you're having technical issues, then it means that at some point the guidance from your management and senior management, or the support that they are giving to enable an environment that is free of technical issues, is not adequate for whatever reason. And then if you're talking about issues with vision, then that's a management issue, because and I just mean like executive management to define a vision down to middle managers and project managers who carry out that vision, help design the vision and implement, importantly, the vision and make sure that whatever's happening is implemented on that vision. That it's kind of with them, and as an employee, you understand, you read the documents and you understand what the vision is, and you try to internalize that as part of your work to make sure that what you're doing aligns with that. And I think if you kind of go about it that way, then you'll have a better chance of getting something on track here. Anyway, so that's a shame. So moving on, Nintendo's big 2025 game appears to be on track. And it's a Kirby game. It's by Steven Totillo over at GameFile. So The marquee 2025 video game release slot is going to be Kirby Air Riders. And so it is a vehicular action game out for Switch 2 November 20th. Okay. This is a a meticulously detailed 47.5-minute video presentation. Okay. So I've missed this. I'm going to have to watch this. Oh, man. Oh, this is the Kirby Air Riders Direct on the 19th. Okay. That's what this is. Okay. Very good. Yeah, so Sakurai is, the one who came out with Kirby in the first place, under Iwata. I might end up reading about it in this book called Ask Iwata. Riders is particularly a multiplayer. Oh, it's a multiplayer racing game featuring characters in the cute and chaotic world of Kirby. I don't know if I need another racer. But hey, I like driving. I like driving games. So hey, you still got me there. Okay. So check that video out. I'm gonna go check that video out at some point. Here, I'll just pin it for myself. Okay. So this man, okay, yeah. So this is his game on Masahiro Sakurai-san on Creating Games channel had been shot before the first one premiered in 2022. They weren't fully edited or produced, but the scripting and recording had occurred more than 2 years prior to the airing of the finale. Yeah. So he revealed last October that way back in July 2021, as his work on Smash Ultimate was winding down, he'd been asked to write a pitch for a new game. In today's Air Riders video, he clarified that there had been a strong request at the time from Nintendo's head of software development, Shinya Takahashi-san, and Satoshi Mitsuhara-san, then president of Kirby franchise core development studio HAL Laboratory, for a game pitch, which Satoru Iwata worked at, founded, and then became president. Okay, brilliant. Sakurai-san is so awesome. He described that the 7-month stretch was a precious opportunity to impart his knowledge to existing and potential game designers, hoping to give them a boost. Man. Can I work for you? Hire me, damn it. All right. Just snoozing ads here. And let's see. Okay. At the time of the announcement, Sakurai also revealed that he was making the game with a team from Bandai Namco, the third-party Pac-Man giant. Weird way to announce them. They have all kinds of stuff, but okay. Okay. I don't know. I'm always sketchy with Bamco, because Bamco can do some pretty, I don't know. They'll get you. They'll get you. They'll get you, with the monies. All right. So Nintendo has typically revealed its big holiday games release dates by June, and they did not do so this year. But okay, that is the holiday game, it would seem. Okay, interesting. I wonder what kind of splash that will make. I wonder if $100 is still, $100 Canadian is still a bridge too far for some people. It kind of is for me on Donkey Kong, but maybe not for Kirby? ? Because it's going to be more in line with things that I'm interested in anyway. I'm interested in Sakurai. I'm interested in Sakurai-san. I'm interested in racing games, driving as a mechanic. Fumes, by the way, a game that I want to check out. It's in early access. And I'm interested in Kirby. And the thought of, you know, the original Kirby, which was kind of like a, from what I remember, you know, watching Sakurai-san's videos, you know, kind of like, hey, you know, we're gonna make this thing, but we're gonna like try to make it in such a way that people who have never played video games before can play this thing and understand what they need to do and learn what they need to do. You know, and that seems to really feature in that was the ethos then, you know, from what I recall anyway. And if any part of that ethos is kind of integrated into this game, which I think it would be, I think it's part of his kind of core development philosophy, then that'll be really interesting and really kind of engaging for me to engage with, because I love to learn. I love to you know, the learning process. So that's great. That's great. Okay. Let's move on from there. Another one's keeping it at game file. So Blizzard's approach to Diablo 4's game credits. The more names, the better. So their goal at Blizzard is to credit as many people in their games as possible. You know, not a whole lot here. I think the only reason I had picked this out is because I had seen my brother's name on some video game credits, and then I kind of went down a rabbit hole. And I was on some wiki having to do with Dead Rising, and then I was like, oh, damn. His name was linked. I clicked on his name, and then it had all known video games that he has been credited in. And I was like, damn, this is a cool trip down memory lane for me. I got to play more Dead Rising. I haven't engaged with it largely because mostly it's not my thing. So that's kind of the issue. Well, sometimes I go into waves of like being, all right, I'm into zombie, but you know, I did Left 4 Dead a lot and really kind of burned myself out of anything zombies and never went back. But yes, I mean, you know, generally speaking, for sure, if you can credit as many people as possible who are engaged in the thing, then that is, I think, the honorable and right thing to do. Because it matters. It absolutely matters to have your name. It's just another thing that bolsters your resume in an industry that can be so cutthroat that you know, you might be in a position where you're stuck there trying to figure out how can you get the next job, you know, within the industry, or you know, do you have to make a pivot outside of it? Okay, let's move on to GamesBeat. This is the GamesBeat portion of the show. A bunch of stuff from GamesBeat here. We'll just kind of blitz through this as much as possible. So Evo gets a new owner and new partners in international expansion. This is kind of cool. Let's see. So Sony Interactive Entertainment has sold its stake in Evo to Nodewin Gaming, backed by what a terrible acronym, by Sony. Yeah, okay. So there's parent company Sony Electronics and Video Games, and then Sony Video Games, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment. So the parent company will become the global sponsor of the event series. Okay. Sony will continue to invest in tournaments. I don't know. I had read basically they primarily look at US and Japan, but okay. The event is making its first appearance in Europe later this year and expanding to Singapore in 2027. But yeah, good luck with Singapore. I mean, nothing against Singapore. Singapore doesn't like Canada though. I think that's, I don't know. That's always been the vibe that I've gotten from various things that I've looked at in the past when I've had to look at things that Singapore does. But you know, industrially speaking, but I think the number one thing is like the rules that they have, and you know, the certain expected behaviors of a person that tourists to that tours Singapore. and how some of those behaviors might not be in line with FGC, funny game community, or like, I don't know. I shouldn't call out FGC in that way. I'll take that one back. I'll say some of the people inside of FGC may not have the requisite behaviors that are needed to operate in Singapore. Let's say that. Anyway, all right. So there's that. PlayStation increased their price. So this is funny. I didn't know Mike Minotti is from now co-owner of Giant Bomb. I wonder how much Mike Minotti got paid for this, because this isn't very much. This is like this is even light for even if you're looking for a business wire or a news wire. This is a very light cable. But all three models have become $50 more expensive. How much did Mike Minotti get paid to do this? Yes. So they attribute the price increases to a challenging economic environment, likely referencing U.S. tariffs under President Donald Trump. Sony noted that it will not increase the price of PS5 accessories. Recently, Nintendo raised the cost of the original Switch 1 and other products and accessories, though the Switch 2 is unaffected for now. So, video game consoles. Just want to do a little bit of fact checking here. Because I remember that there is a lobbying organization that had been, that did an interview with the game business and had been, it might have been with the game business, and had said, basically they were constantly negotiating with the U.S. administration and letting them know that, how much we contribute in terms of billions of dollars of revenue. It's over 50. I think it's around 80. I don't know. We've gone over that before, though. It's available at PwC. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing, though. Are those tariffs actually put in place? Okay, let's hey Hellion. Nice to see you. So good, thanks. Going well. Just doing the video game news. Currently looking at this PlayStation 5 price increase. As far as I can tell, these tariffs have not gone into effect. So it's not any sort of pricing that is backed off of actual tariffs. It's off of expected tariffs, which I mean is kind of silly. I don't think that's good. That's not a good look. Especially because these the whole like, oh, we'll throw a tariff. We'll do a tariff. We'll throw a tariff on it. It's just this madness of a negotiation strategy. Just like, we'll threaten massive tariffs and will force you to behave in a certain way that we want you to behave in a way that'll be more advantageous for us. And then, we might nudge you towards something, and then at the very last minute, then we'll ease off. Oh, we'll put that on pause. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I doubt that they would want to actually implement tariffs on things originating from Japan. I don't know. I don't know about that one, because Japan's just even out of the economics of it. Just geopolitically, Japan is a huge partner to the U.S. It's their regional outpost in that area with U.S. Navy bases or U.S. bases or whatever. So yeah, I don't know about that. That sucks. That just all around sucks, and I don't think that's a legitimate reason for this. Although for sure, I can from the business side, I can see people getting really afraid of tariffs for sure. Okay. Let's wrap this up. Just a couple more here. There's another thing here in GamesBeat that caught my attention. AI and Sony AI and Audio Kinetic enable audio to audio and text to audio search for devs. So I think this is kind of what I guess I was talking about in terms of embedding this genre of AI technology into tools that help you do the work better. That's probably kind of the way forward, and a way that should be kind of welcome. So that's cool. Hey, they can search for sounds using either a text description or a reference audio clip. Ooh. Removing the need for keyboard tagging or time-consuming manual navigation through vast audio libraries. I don't know. I mean, hey, it's obviously, and any position that I take on this is going to be it's going to be biased out of a thing of being like, well, what, I'm already in my career and have been for 8 years now, and so I'm beyond an entry level, and I am in a position where I would only benefit from the technology, right? And so you will see, whether people are writing that they like it, don't like it, agree or don't agree. I think there can be certainly a bias that creeps in from the position of, or not even just a motivation, or my bias that creeps in from like, hey, do you stand to benefit or do you not? Well, maybe that's a bit too cold of a worldview, but like it's almost like a meritocracy. No, is it? I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on from that. This is something that I'm way more excited about, is that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming to Switch 2. Hell yes. Games that I want on the Switch 2. Final Fantasy 14. Please make that happen. I will give you my money. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I will play this game more if it's on there. I was playing it on Game Pass. I just had to drop it, and I was like, you know what? I'm dropping Game Pass too. We'll get there eventually. Also, there is a Sekiro Shadows Die Twice anime adaptation coming. Cool. I don't know about the arts. Okay, I can dig it. I will probably watch the crap out of that. And finally, well, I should put this up front. 90% of game devs are using AI in workflows. We mostly talked about this, so that's to be expected. Yes. And anyway, another article on this. That's fine. But seems more data here. Okay, so this is a survey from 615 adults in the US. Oh, so US, South Korea, Finland, Norway, and Sweden. All right. Let's see here. So, according to the survey results, how has AI accelerated the development process? 47% say, I think that's what this means. 47% say that AI-driven playtesting and balancing of mechanics. AI-assisted localization and translation of game content at 45%. 44% say AI enhanced code generation and scripting support. 87% of game studios and developers are using AI agents with their work. Strategic resource allocation. Okay. Budgeting. Enhanced player experiences. Processing customer feedback. Collecting customer feedback and then processing it as well. Accelerated development cycles, doing stuff faster. Or taking out the manual grunt work. And new creative horizons. Brainstorming. That's what that. Gross. This is all great. Just come out and say what it is you mean and don't dress it up in bullshit language, please. Like, come on. Again, you know, the whole. I look at that and the kind of feeling that I feel really bad for the entry level, because it spells the end of the entry level, especially in some places that don't really provide support for entry level. We got ads, but we'll power through. That's what that noise means. Okay, so let's see. AI for realistic character, where AI most enhances player experiences. AI for realistic character animations and gestures. Dynamic world changes in response to gameplay. NPCs that learn and adapt. Personalized marketing or in-game recommendations. Automated moderation of player-generated content. That's scary. Is that? I would be terrified of things that aren't properly modded. Developing new mechanics. So study highlights significant shift in how developers see creativity and efficiency from automating repetitive tasks, 95%, to exploring new gameplay possibilities, like developing new mechanics, 93%, and developing new genres, 92%. Strong belief that this technology will fundamentally reshape how games are produced, as 94% of developers surveyed say that it is already driving innovation. They've coalesced around several key ideas where they see Gen AI as most impactful, accelerating workflows, driving. Okay, so again, haste or like speeding up the work, coming up with new ideas. Right, so it's being used in core parts of creative workflow, with 36% of respondents personally using it for dynamic level design, animation, and dialogue writing. I always find it kind of creepy for writing, for some reason. So I would rather write things myself, but you know, yeah. Anyway, it takes a really long time as compared to getting something to write something that is like based off of your writing. I guess that's how I'd look at that. But still less, eh? Like it's not your 90%. It is about a third is where we're at, just over a third. Exploring new narrative concepts at 37%, and flexibility in creative exploration at 36%, whatever that means. Enhancing player experiences. So players are seeking games that feel more alive and dynamic at 37%, and expect smarter, more adaptive non-player characters. They see opportunities to enhance these experiences through dynamic world changes in response to gameplay. Okay. All right. Of course, AI agents, and we've known that for years, so that's not surprising. Although on the inevitable, inevitably when you're using an AI agent and it makes a promise or it makes some statement or especially actually makes a promise to you in that chat, predicated on something that doesn't exist or isn't real or isn't true, that those companies should be held to honor whatever the promise is. So, you know, I don't remember what story it is where this has come up, but this has come up in the past in general of this technology being used at places where it would just invent a policy at the company. And then, you know, then you have court fights over like, oh, well, you know, this isn't the policy we have. We shouldn't have to honor this. But the tool promised it. You know. Okay. A third believe that it can level the playing field for small independent studios to compete with more established players. But I mean, yes and no. Depends on what tool and what the cost is. And also, more premium versions of tools will have better performance. Poorer versions of tools will have much harder. They just won't work as well. They won't lead you to the quality of output that you're looking for, I don't think. And so the risk there is that you just really waste a whole bunch of time trying to implement something that is doomed. And yes, we have the concerns regarding data ownership. Yep. And player data privacy. Makes sense. I'll save the speech on data privacy and all that kind of stuff for next time, I guess. I don't feel like going into that one again. Yeah. But hey, Pipeda in Canada exists. Pipeda is great. Oh, my package has arrived. One sec. That is that. Let's move on from there. I think the last thing here was just, so BF6 had a couple of beta events I did not participate in, unfortunately. I just didn't feel like it the couple of times that I was there that I had the chance to do it. But hey, we'll see. When BF6 actually comes out, I might give it a give it a shot. There's a little article here by Dring on whether or not it's a thing. Call of Duty killer. I don't know that it needs to be, but from what I heard over podcasts, people talking about like the pace being like exceedingly fast, and that it wasn't really being true to like old Battlefield ethos of like, you know, slow measured play with lots of big people on big maps. You know, we haven't seen all the maps though, so it remains to be seen. And good on them for getting feedback, first of all. So we'll see where that goes, but I am low-key excited about this. So that's it for the news. Tune in next week for the news. I gotta go get my package. All right. Package has been received. That's awesome. Oh, that's gonna be good for later. Okay. So hey, we'll end. We will end your video game debrief, your video game news debrief there for this week. That was a lot of fun to do. Look forward to looking at some news next week. So tune in again. We'll get into that. Till then, go for a walk. I don't know. Take care. We'll see you then. Bye.